Good morning and welcome to the NBA Daily. Coming up, the playoffs are here. We're going to break down every single matchup and give our takeaways and adjustments for Game 2. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, guys. Happy Monday.
Morning.
Morning.
Do people actually still say Happy Monday? Is that like a thing?
There's no such thing.
I think people know that's a lie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, hey, guys, it was a great weekend. WrestleMania weekend, NBA playoffs opening up. I want to run through these series because obviously we just got 8 game ones and there's lots to talk about. So let's just jump right in and get to it. And I want to start Thunder Grizzlies. This game wasn't much of a game, a 51-point win for the Thunder. And Zena, look, we've been saying this all year. This team is a machine. They looked fresh and rested and ready for the Grizzlies.
It made sense after the fact that they haven't played their main players since, early April, maybe March. They haven't needed to. And this is what they could afford to do because they've been excellent all year. And then they came in with fresh, excellent legs against Memphis. But once again, it was an OKC balanced attack. You wanted it from the perimeter, you got it from there. You wanted it interior, you got it from there. Everyone was rolling on all cylinders, and 6 players in double digits performance. I mean, just
didn't even have
full
a great
OKC Thunder
game.
performance.
Not a good shake game.
No. And that's what you don't need that with OKC. Everyone steps up in their own way, but they were efficient from the floor and really made Memphis question. Did they want to really be in the playoffs?
I mean, I think that they were about ready to go on vacation. The Grizzlies, they were a mess, and they've kind of been a mess for a little while. Jaren Jackson just ineffective, doesn't really put his mark on the games here recently. Desmond Bane, minus 51, the worst single game plus minus in NBA playoffs history. Well, in the, since they've been keeping track of those sorts of stats.
Yeah, he also owns the best plus minus, apparently, according to our producer, Andrew Schlecht told us that earlier today, which is a surprise, the best and the worst of it all. But no, look, I think this was more about OKC's defense than anything. The way that they were just shrinking the floor against Memphis, taking away any opportunities in the paint. Like, Edie was struggling tonight, which is, likely for a guy of his size, but the Hartenstein-Chet duo just swallowed up anything that Memphis wanted to do inside. So, force a million turnovers, get out and running. You see that crazy lob that J-Dub had. That's the type of basketball that OKC wants to play, and they are going to very easily do that in the first round.
The Thunder crowd is fantastic. It felt, that college atmosphere, but man,
wear
the
your shirts,
intensity.
folks.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it? Zena, what can the Grizzlies do in Game 2? Anything?
Burn the tape from this last game.
Oh, yeah.
And try to find ways to make for easier offense. I mean, so much of their offense felt so hard, mainly because the perimeter defense of OKC just made it really hard to get anything going. Yeah. But particularly find a way to get Zach Edey and Ja in more pick and roll situations that feel natural. Jaren Jackson, allow him to get in some pick and roll situations as well. Get some high lows going, even occupy Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren in a way that they have to respect those two working in tandem on the floor. Basically, I think the guard play is going to pick up. I don't expect Desmond Bane to have the game that he had. Even John Morant, 17 points. He was a high scorer along with Bagley. I don't expect them to have consistently poor offensive games, but the change for Memphis to have a chance, they have to get their bigs involved.
Right. Let's move on. Zena, you were just at the arena for Warriors, or excuse me, in studio for Warriors Rockets. In studio, not in the arena because they were in Houston.
Hence all the makeup.
That's it. When this game started, I spent the first 5 minutes thinking, Warriors are looking old, Rockets are looking big. And this might go the opposite way. And then, of course, I was totally wrong in my first initial sort of feelings there. And the Warriors they just have this ability now with Jimmy Butler to turn it up defensively in a way that they haven't been able to do since the last title run that they had. What do you think about the Warriors and their win over the Rockets?
It was this entire game encapsulated basically everything you'd expect in this series. The Rockets jumping out with their defense, swarming off ball, the way that they were just taking away space from the Warriors, especially being really physical with Steph Curry. And then Jimmy Butler turning it up, being playoff Jimmy, being a guy who can really just elevate this Warriors offense and get them through these like muddy sequences that Houston was trying to get them into. Houston bounces back with their ginormous lineup. Yeah. The Şengün, Jabari Smith Jr., Adams lineup that just like you cough up basically a million offensive rebounds because of it. They climb back into this game, and then it's the closers for the Warriors in Steph Curry, in Jimmy Butler, in Draymond Green. And shout out to Brandon Podziemski and Moses Moody, who made massive plays. Zena, I know you want to talk about them too. They made some massive plays in the fourth quarter. That was just awesome. This was basically everything you wanted from the series and what you expected from this Rockets-Warriors game.
Yeah, on the point of you looking at this Dave DuFour and saying old and seasoned, you weren't wrong. You absolutely weren't wrong. I mean, that's how it started. And it was kind of crazy to see the transition defense into offense, because we've seen the transition. We've seen defense from the Warriors. They also have been one of the top 10 defensive teams all season long alongside the Houston Rockets. What you haven't seen is it translate into a lot of offense. But that's what you've seen a lot more now with Jimmy Butler kind of being the one to lead the pace, or having a Brandon Podziemski being a rebounding guard and being able to push the pace and having outlets like Jimmy Butler or being able to set something up with Steph Curry. But yeah, shout out to the youngins, because in order to beat a team like Houston, sure, the vets are going to have to step up. Steph's going to have to show up. Jimmy, Draymond's going to have to be the orchestrator on defense, but it needed to be extra role players. Brandon Podziemski showed up as a pace setter, made some big buckets, turned up a little bit of the defense. Moses Moody, Marcus Thompson just wrote an article right now. Go read it, as how Moses Moody became the head of the snake. And you look at that box score, you're going to be like, really? What did he do tonight? Don't worry about those 7 points.
Huge game.
He was a disruptor on defense, especially in that fourth quarter. So yeah, there's a lot of role players that stepped up. We'll see how Ime Udoka's mind works and the adjustments that he makes. I just imagine that Houston's going to come out more aggressive and utilize what they used to erase that 23-point lead that the Warriors had on them.
Go bigger.
And come out with that level. Exactly. Go bigger, faster, sooner, and go harder, faster, sooner.
I mean, when you look at the offensive rebounding advantage that Houston had, and you look at how they had 11 more shots than the Warriors, they just could not buy a bucket. And I think that the big adjustment in game 2 for the Rockets, they have to generate better looks. Jalen Green, I think if he's going to, I'm assuming he's going to play and start, but if he's out there, he's got to drive and attack the basket and get those driving kick actions going and get the Warriors moving.
Yeah, look, this has been an issue for Houston all season, especially when the going gets tough, especially against the Warriors defense. Like, credit to Draymond Green, who took away Alperen Şengün pretty much all night. The physicality that he played with, you're not getting those type of calls. Şengün was really grasping at straws for some of the officiating throughout the game. But I thought generally, like, the Warriors did a great job of shrinking. And look, Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green shot 7 of basically 34 in this game. You're not going to win any basketball games when your backcourt shoots like that. It's not going to happen. So yeah, they got to just shoot better.
And one really quick point about this game and the offensive rebounding, So interestingly enough, this season, the Rockets have had the largest differential in terms of rebounding, and particularly offensive rebounding, from their opponent. I think it's been like they've been +6 or so from their opponents on average each game. The last team, or the closest team to that differential, I think they actually tied them, was like the 2015-2016 OKC Thunder.
With Steven.
There you go.
The
person in between here, Steven Adams, between both teams, that's how impactful he is on rebounding, that he can create that level of a differential. And that's huge for the Rockets to have.
That was the Grizzlies' bread and butter. Was they used to get so many extra possessions. They led the league in shot attempts because of their offensive rebounding and Steven Adams. I mean, he maybe one of the best offensive rebounders in NBA history
ever.
I mean, he's so good. He always boxes out. Yeah. Guys, the Lakers and the Timberwolves. Oof. Now this game really surprised me because you start out and you know, high emotion. It's a Lakers game. It's a home game. Yeah. Luka Doncic starts this game on fire, finishes with 37. If I just left it right there, you probably think, oh, wow, Lakers must have blown them out. Guys, the Wolves are not scared at all. It reminds me, Zena, of last year when they went in against the Nuggets and it just seemed like they had an extra edge to them. The Timberwolves, maybe we have ignored them over the last 6 weeks because they've been better than we were giving them credit for early on. And this is one of those sorts of games that I think we're going to put a pin in this. And if the Wolves win this series, I think just winning this game one in the way that they did is exactly why.
This is redemption for Julius Randle. There were a lot of narratives early on in this season about, is he going to be a good fit? Who won the trade? The Knicks won the trade. So obviously won the trade, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now you're seeing Minnesota with a scoring kind of point guard in Julius Randle. Like, he has been leading and setting the floor a lot for the Timberwolves. At his size, it's incredibly hard to maneuver around. And then you add the fact that he involves his young guys, McDaniels, Alexander Walker. Like, you're seeing Julius Randle talk to these guys, get them going, get them involved in the game in a way that, you know, of course, Anthony Edwards encourages them, et cetera. But Julius Randle has this veteranship about him that goes alongside of Mike Conley, but he's also involved in the actions way more than Mike Conley is. And so I just feel as if he's kind of like the galvanizer behind all of it. And while he's handling the ball and doing a much better job this time around at this point of the season, guess who gets to just play free, have fun, get up and down the court, do a great job. And that's Anthony Edwards. 22 points in that game, 8 rebounds, 9 assists as well. Yeah. I mean, those two right now are Randle and Edwards are a fun tandem, and the Lakers really struggled.
Yeah. Speaking of struggling, they didn't play Jackson Hayes much. They went to Jared Vanderbilt at the 5, play small. Yeah. And I mean, this is it's not something that we really thought was going to be a huge concern, but it's more of a concern in this matchup because of Rudy Gobert, because of Randle, because of Naz Reid, Jaden McDaniels even. Like, there is so much size inside for the Timberwolves.
They're big.
And they're real big.
They're massive. And I think one of the things that we've mentioned on this is like the Lakers small ball lineup being big in itself, right? Right. But they were just hunting them out, and McDaniels was taking advantage. You mentioned Zena, Anthony Edwards, and those 9 assists. Like, I thought the way that he was creating for his teammates in isolation was so important to putting pressure on the Lakers defense from behind the arc. Oh my God, I'm fumbling over my words here. But they shot 50% from 3. They generated so many open looks from 3 because the Lakers' shell defense was just too spread out. They weren't able to really attack them in any significant way. The improvement there from the Lakers side is just be more physical, be more quick on your rotations, and maybe that'll help you change this series.
And they need more out of LeBron. And it's funny to say this, because LeBron is one of the greats.
Out of 40-year-old LeBron.
They need more than they got in game 1 from him. Zena, probably the craziest opening playoff game. Nuggets and Clippers. And we were saying last week that this was going to be a battle. And it was. I mean, what a game. Jokic puts up 29, 9 rebounds, 12 assists. James Harden was incredible, had 32 points. I think we're going to get a 7-game series out of this. It feels like
it. Absolutely. And because each game in this series, I think each team is going to have an opportunity to show off what they're really good at. So obviously Denver showed off their defense early in that game, but you saw them get a little bit gassed when the Nuggets could withstand that, and their offense was better and their offense turned up. And Jamal Murray is very capable of having quiet halves, and particularly quiet first halves turning up in the second. And that's exactly what you saw. The Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic bread and butter just started toasting in the second half, and there wasn't enough legs under the Clippers to really handle that. They're ready now. They now have seen that, and they will adjust in this next game. And so I think it's just going to be back and forth of whose whose bread and butter all season, whether it's the Nuggets offense or the Clippers defense, is really going to shine. The advantage that the Clippers have, though, is once they get their legs back under them, which I anticipate will happen next game, they also have offense to back it up. Right. And that's when I wonder what is going to happen with the Nuggets, because they don't always have the defense. They haven't. They have a 21st in the league defense. So at some point, the Clippers are going to have an advantage because they've had both, and they came into the playoffs having both roaring.
Yeah. And Denver's a tough place to go and play, right? And the Clippers, I don't know if they got there early, how many days they got there early, but those game ones, the Nuggets, they try to get you running. How did the Clippers come back in game two? It feels like game one, you lose an overtime game. There's not much you can do. They lost in overtime by 2. So it's pretty close.
This is the one the Clippers might have let go away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they needed this one just because it went to overtime. You played. James Harden played 43 minutes. Kawhi played 42 minutes. I think the way the Clippers adjust is one, the turnovers. They had 20 turnovers. It led to tons of points off those turnovers in transition for Denver. And then the other thing is offensive rebounds. Late in the game, one guy we haven't mentioned yet, Russell Westbrook, was massive in this game. Tons of deflections, tons of offensive rebounds, just making tons of hustle plays. We think back to that Denver-Minnesota game a couple weeks back in April where he basically botched the game for them. This was a redemption game where he won the game for them just because of the highlight plays he was making. So offensive rebounds, turnovers, limit those, and the Clippers will probably be able to get back into this series.
Before we go to break and talk about the East, anything from the Western Conference game ones that you guys saw that has changed your opinion on a series?
Not really. The only thing I would say is that, to your point, Dave, about Minnesota and the Lakers, I might have underestimated just how much Anthony Edwards loves the limelight. Yeah. and he's going to take advantage of that. And that's might be the series. That might be the determiner right there.
For me, it was seeing what the Thunder did to the Grizzlies. I thought the Thunder would win in 4, and now they're going to win in 3. They're playing a different sport. Guys,
stick around. We'll be right back. 3 games, man.
To talk about the East. In the Eastern Conference, we had some interesting matchups, not as hotly contested as the West. Let's just be honest. Start with the Knicks and Pistons. And guys, this was a fantastic Tobias Harris game. And I do not know how the Pistons wound up giving up a 21-0 run to lose the game. I'm kind of disappointed in your Pistons, S.
Hey, it's okay. What you will remember is that I'm also a big campaign fan, and he was incredible in this game. So I'm good. I win either way, really. Not a problem.
Zena, what adjustments do you think that the Pistons need to make going into game 2? Is it just maybe put on the sunshades because the light is a little bit too bright in the playoffs? Is that what you saw in the fourth quarter?
Yeah. I don't know if it was that the lights were too bright or that Jalen Brunson has just brought sunscreen because he knows what it's like in comparison to the Pistons. He was so poised in that fourth quarter. And this is what we've expected. And this is what we've been saying in this matchup between Detroit and the Knicks, particularly for these younger teams. You could say the same thing about Houston versus the Warriors. All of these teams are going to have at least one game in which they are reminded, oh, those folks have been here before. And that's what you saw with the Pistons. You saw Jalen Brunson cook in the fourth quarter, even after doing something weird with his ankle and looking as if he shouldn't be in the game in the third quarter, changing shoes, doing all these things. And he still found a way to produce, having 12 points in that last quarter. Whereas no one could get above 8 in the fourth quarter for Detroit. So Detroit's going to have to just show up better in the fourth quarter and also realize that everything gets on the line at the end of these games for these vets on the Knicks side. And they're going to do whatever they can to score. Detroit also has to match that intensity as well.
Yeah, the Knicks have the talent advantage too, right?
They do have the talent advantage, you're right. But I think the Pistons should be confident heading into game 2 because they led for the majority of this game. And yes, there was this massive run caused by turnovers and caused by tons of defensive lapses. But if you play how you played for the first 3 quarters, you're still in game one in MSG. So like build and understand that your game plan worked and there was this lapse, this moment where things didn't go your way, and sort of be confident in what you can do in game two. I think the Pistons are headed in the right direction with what they're trying to build in this playoff series. It's just, you got to do it consistently.
They've got
but
the
I'll
defense,
say this really quickly though. But okay, so on the point of defense, though, all of these teams that were amazing in defense or on defense throughout the regular season, it doesn't matter anymore. It's great. Yeah. It's awesome. Bring it into the postseason. But everybody else is going to be really good on defense because everyone else is going to be playing with the desperation and the urgency of the playoffs. So they just got to step it up on a different level. And I don't know what that's going to take for the Pistons or any of these other teams that kind of fell apart towards the second half.
Well, what's it going to take for the Bucks, Zena? Because the Pacers just, obliterated them, made them look, hopefully, right? Like, can they get Dame, put him in a time machine, get him back to game one? It was a blowout, right? Indiana just looks so much more athletic, much more, they have more juice to them. Giannis puts up 36, 12 rebounds, and they lose by, 19 points. Zena, any big takeaway for the Bucks in the game?
They need a point guard, and they're a little bit seasoned. So, that was real. And more than anything, Kyle Kuzma, you have one job. You were brought here to produce.
Literally
and for you
anything.
to have played 20 to do anything, and for 21 minutes to happen with Kyle Kuzma having 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, nothing other than minutes racked. That's a workout. That's not the type of workout you're looking to get. He just has to do something. And I can't imagine that's going to happen another game in a row. So between him providing what he can provide, which is being a volume shooter and putting up shots and making some buckets for them, and then potentially getting Dame back, it should be a better game. I don't think anybody anticipated Kyle just literally going goose egg across the stat line.
I will just say that I think the small ball lineup for the Bucks really worked well in that second half with Bobby Portis and Giannis and AJ Green and Gary Trent Jr.
More athletic.
Absolutely. More shooting, more athletic. And that's how you match Indiana style. And I think that if Doc Rivers knows what he's doing, which I believe that he does, they will lean into that more. And game two will be a little bit more athletic from the Bucks side of things, for sure.
And more physicality. They got to match that physicality out of the Pacers.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing, right? Like, if they have you in athleticism, you have to beat them in toughness. And that sounds like just basketball speak, but it's a real thing. It's sort of like when you watch Jimmy Butler play basketball and you're like, that's a guy that it's cliche to say, but he just wants it more. Like that is a real thing that you have to quantify for. Yeah. Heat and Cavaliers, guys. The Cavs just perfect performance from them. Ty Jerome comes off the bench and, he looks like a sixth starter for them. Donovan Mitchell, superstar game for Donovan Mitchell. 4 steals. Like this guy turns the defense up for the playoffs too, but he was getting a hand on everything. The Cavaliers, the Heat are not talented enough to be able to hang with the Cavs. They don't have the offense. But what the Cavs were able to do to the Heat's defense opened my eyes. I really, after the way that they I'm not going to say they stumbled into the playoffs because they were resting and whatnot, but I did not like how they closed the season. This was a hell of a game one.
Yeah, I love the fact that they fought and grinded through this win because you're going to have to grind through some wins in the postseason. And teams are going to throw out their best at you. Miami is not a team that's just going to stand down. And defensively, they were prepared. I thought they did a great job. Bam especially did a great job on Evan Mobley and Jared Allen throughout this game. It was the guard play from the Cavs that they just had no answers for. And you mentioned Ty Jerome. Like it's a shame that the finalist for Sixth Man of the Year is already submitted because he put his best case forward tonight with the way that he played. But look, this is going to be one of those series where it'll be a competitive sweep where Miami probably doesn't end up winning any of these games, but they're all within 10, 15 points to kind of keep things close. But Cleveland is just outmatched. They outmatch Miami offensively.
Zena,
I need to see. Yeah, I just want to see a good Evan Mobley, Khalil Ware matchup game. Because both of them were kind of quiet in this game. And I mean, that is to the work done by Khalil Ware on Evan Mobley and vice versa. But I want to see them go bucket for bucket, just going at it. I love the two young guys on these two teams, but I think these two games came down to the perimeter play. Tyler Hero going off, obviously Andrew Wiggins going off. Bam Adebayo plays like a guard pretty much, even though he's a big for the Heat, but it was very perimeter driven for Miami, and they need more than that. They need their bigs. They need some additional offense. Alec Burks was not on his A game last night or the other night. And so definitely want to see more involvement overall. And I think the way you put it, Cleveland was incredibly well prepared. You saw them capable of being able to fight off the defense, especially towards the second half as Miami tried to turn it up. It was a great win for them.
The Celtics handled the Magic. It was 103-86. It was a closer game maybe than the score would let on. Totally. I love how physical Orlando is able to be, but as with no guard play for them, nobody who can get in and create a bucket for other guys like Paolo. It just isn't the right guy stirring the drink. Cole Anthony was basically unplayable because the Celtics just hunted him. Can the Magic win a game?
I think they might be able to. Yeah, I do. Just because I think Franz and Paolo, if they're playing the way that they played today, they combined for like 55 points, more than that in this one. And if the rest of their teammates just start hitting shots, just start creating a little bit more, they'll probably be able to steal a game. I thought the first half was really indicative of how like massive and physical Orlando can be with Boston. Yes, Boston is going to find solutions because they are the best problem-solving team in the NBA. But generally, I think there's going to be a game where Orlando will have answers to those solutions and steal one. But look, Boston's going to win this series. There's no question about that. But it's just about how competitive it'll be from the Magic side of things, and what will other teams glean from that, you know?
Yeah. Zena, what do the Celtics need to do to go up 2-0 after game 2?
A repeat of what they did in game 1, which was to diversify their offense.
Yeah.
When you saw Boston not able to hit threes, you saw them figure out how to get inside. They also did a wonderful job, textbook job of getting off the ball. I almost wanted to send the game tape to the Warriors. Say, this is how you beat the trap. You pass it before it comes to you, before they are able to clamp down. No, it was textbook work, the way that the Boston Celtics were able to move the ball around the perimeter, dribble in, get out. Such great decision making in very small amounts of time. And Boston will just have to repeat their ability to do in-game adjustments on the fly. And they are so well equipped for that.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, anything in the East surprise you guys or catch you off guard?
No, not at
really.
all.
Yeah, not really.
Pretty boring over there.
Pretty boring. No, it's still fun. Come on,
it's still fun,
right?
It is fun. It is fun.
No
surprises. I'm joking.
No surprise.
We're gonna.
When you compare it to the
chalk.
West, it's crazy how much there's going on in the West. But it
does
is
sometimes
fun.
feel like it's a different league. Yes, it's true.
Yeah.
All right, that's gonna do it for the show, folks. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review and all of that. For Zena, Keita, and Bareheni, I'm Dave DuFour, and this has been the NBA Daily. Thanks for waking up with us.